Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Cheryl Meier, and today we're going to talk about this one song lyric was coming to me of Elliott's that says, "Gonna spend the day higher than high." And so I am in a children's hospital right now. And so, but this lyric, okay, so the basis of this is talking about understanding what our addictions do, what our quick fixes do, why we go to them, and how they appear. They make it, I have all these fluorescent lights around me, right? They make it seem like they're going to solve a problem, and they don't end up solving the problem, or they solve the problem temporarily. So let's think of an example, right? Oh, I'm hearing a Rufus Wainwright song in my mind. He says, like, cigarettes and chocolate milk. These are just a few of my cravings, you know? And they're just symbols of something else. And so it's like, let's just use cigarettes for a second, you know? Because that's the lyric, that's the song that's coming to me. And so, like, I remember when I was in Turkey, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try a cigarette. I wasn't opposed to trying one. I didn't have a problem, you know, I don't know. So I just did. And I was like, wow, this is really relaxing. It like chilled me out, and it brought my mood just really stable. And so, oh, that was one of the other things that I've been thinking about while I've been here. Is so let's get a little bit of background for all of us, right? Is when, hello, welcome. I welcome all people, welcome here. Let's get equipped, right? I've been a psychologist for over 20 years, and I am committed and passionate about giving these skills out to you, to other people. So welcome to all the new subscribers and everything like that, and followers and such. So when we're in childhood, right, here's the big parents and we're the little kids, big parents, little kids. When we're traumatized because of their unconsciousness, because of wherever they're not consciously loving, when they don't know how to do that, we sometimes have reactions. You know, we have these fight, flight, or freeze, or please responses, where we learn how to just freeze, or we just try to please them and keep trying to please them and make it better because we're the little guys, and it's like my way or the highway. We don't know how to make the circumstances change unless we change, unless we figure out how to please these people, right? And so going back to, okay, so what happens when we're in our egotism instead of our soul? You are a soul, you're in a body, right? What happens when we're in our personality self, when we're in our outer egotism? Then we are disconnected from this deeper part of ourselves, and things get contractive, and we can sometimes, I was just noticing this, you know, and this is so good for you, is to start the practice of noticing your thoughts. Notice the thoughts that are going, and then notice that you are the noticer of the thoughts. Someone told me it was these 3 steps, and that's it. Step 1 is notice the thoughts, right? Don't be invested in the thoughts, too attached to your thoughts. And then notice that you are the noticer of those thoughts. And then step 3 is that's all. That's all. You know, because our brain wants to make it complicated and wants to have all these steps and everything like that. But what I just told you will really, really help you on this path. And so on this path of higher consciousness, higher loving people in a more conscious way. Now, what happens when we're feeling, you know, like I've had to face a lot of feelings here of how are we going to take care of this? This is out of our control. And this one guy, James Leese, I think that's his name, David James Leese. He teaches this Wu Wei wisdom, which I like. I don't like completely all of it, but like has so many really, really amazing videos. Him, and it's his wife, I think. But she kept presenting him as the therapist at some point. Anyway, he talks about how when you're in egotism, when you're back in this child, something triggers us outside and we go back to this child position where we feel like we're the child and this is this out of control circumstance, or the parents, they're chaotic or whatever they're doing. And so what you can notice is he names these three things as well, right? Is that we feel like we either can't cope, or we're unlovable, or we're unworthy. And so those two are similar. They're very similar. But I've noticed this thing of I can't cope. And now, whenever that thought comes up, and I'm like, oh, that's just this wounded inner child, or that's just my egotism, and you don't have to judge it as a bad thing. It's just understanding, oh, that's just this part of me that's going back to the programming when I felt this small and they looked this big, and I felt like they could stomp on me, and I felt like they were going to keep creating chaos, and I didn't have any control over that. And so when some chaotic event, something happens that seems way out of my depth of understanding of how I am going to cope with it, I feel that I can't cope. I just want to run away. Now let's go back to the cigarette, right? The cigarette presents itself, comes in and is like, hey, smoke me and you're going to feel better. Well, you'll feel better in the immediate, but then look at the pattern of this, okay? Without judgment, all right? Challenge yourself without judgment. Always challenge yourself without judgment. Look at the pattern of anything that you go to, whether it's TV or whether, some people go and they think if they pray a certain prayer to a certain saint, and that certain saint, they have to pray it a certain way, and then that one will protect them and save them. And now I'm not putting down the saints at all, because I do think, my understanding is, we are a part of a great mystical body of saints. We are. And so it looks like we're all individuals like this, and then you look and you're like, no, we're all part of this greater whole. And so there is a reality of that, but there's not using these kinds of mechanisms like a drug, like a cigarette. Like I kept having this idea today, like, use all things in moderation, right? Be sober in all things. It's like, if I have half a cup of coffee at 11 in the morning, and I'm enjoying that with a brunch, then it just, I don't know what it can do, because I don't really drink coffee much, but I did when I was in Turkey. It was like Turkish coffee, then it like it's just like having tea. It's just like a thing to slow down. It's a mechanism actually to slow down. People make a ritual out of it because they don't have other rituals in their life, but it's a mechanism to be able to slow down because you're drinking something slow. Now, it speeds you up too, so it gives you this sense of energy, and we all love that feeling. But it's like going into this place where, hold on, I have a notification. Okay, good. Where you are, it's so weird because I'm noticing, even as I'm describing it to you, that it's mimicking actually being present. Just be present. When you're present and you notice your thoughts and you don't get hooked into them, then it feels like the slowed downness that you get from drinking a cup of coffee. I used to say, like, nurses and stuff who smoked back in the old days, they could leave and have a smoking break. They would never have a break all day long because it seems like emergency after emergency, need after need after need all day long. I understand this. I think they're like angels. I've worked with so many doctors and nurses in the past few days. And so you can understand how A cigarette would mean a 15-minute break. Oh, I have to go do this thing. You see, I'm a smoker. I have to go do this thing. But it's like, why don't we take 15 minutes like I'm doing right now? Look, there's a castle, right? to sit in my pink castle and just be really deeply present and pray, or just say the Jesus prayer. Oh, there's a really good video by John Butler about the Jesus prayer. It's just a way of meditating, or however you meditate. I welcome whoever you are here, but imagine, like, when you smoke, you're just breathing in this thing and then breathing out. Okay, but then if you didn't just slow down and choose to be present and take deep breaths, instead you're using this substance that gives you the nicotine high that you're spending your resources on, that actually gets you addicted and then can cause harm in your body, instead of taking a deep breath in of normal air, right? And so let's get behind one of these backgrounds. So it's just like anything else that we get addicted to. Okay, so when Elliott was saying, I want to spend the day higher than high, right? It's like, I like having different backgrounds sometimes. Look at these 70s looking chairs, right? The day higher than high is when you learn actually how, you teach yourself, there's a table right there I pushed on. When you teach yourself how to get a natural high, which comes from staying within your soul self, getting to know yourself as soul, not letting this wounded inner child be like the spoiled inner child that runs your life, that says, oh, I can't cope, let's just run away, let's run to an addiction, let's give up, let's throw in the towel, or whatever it says. It's just like, when you as the soul self can go, hey, I recognize that you're feeling that way, but it's okay, that's just an old programming, that's just what happened when you were a child. It just seemed like you weren't going to be able to cope. It seemed like this was going to be too difficult, that there's not a solution, but there is a solution. And you can get expansive, and you can get really deeply present, and you can know yourself. You start knowing yourself as something deeper than that wounded inner child, as something deeper and more powerful, because you're not this inner child. You're not this little child. Like, you're not 18 anymore or younger, even if you were 15. I know some 13-year-olds that watch my videos, even so, they're bar mitzvahed and bat mitzvahed at that age. It's like you're considered a young man or a young woman. That just means you have the capacity to come up with a higher solution, because you were made out of God, and so we can connect to that. Now, I make a lot of videos talking about how to do that, and so today I was just reflecting on how we want to go to those things and understand why we go to those things, but then you become enslaved to those things. Those things take away your own autonomy. They pretend that they're going to give you freedom, and then they give you temporary freedom. But what I'm always wanting to know and wanting to teach is how to get freedom on a deeper level, or how to get truly free, where you're learning how to be present and to be aware of this wounded part of you, but aware of yourself as soul, as connected to God, as this divine nature and human nature. Jesus said, I am the light of the world, and he said, you are the light of the world. And so you can just contemplate again what that means. A lot of my videos are just bringing you to these questions so you can look at, so you can understand that you have the capacity to spend the day like that, higher than a high will take you. That whole song, a lot of Elliott songs are teaching you about that, actually. A lot of songs are, but anyway, I just wanted to give that to you today. I wanted to take a few minutes out and share these philosophical thoughts and psychological thoughts so that we can contemplate on them and learn how to love on a higher level. All right, much love.